my name is Zipei Situ. I'll be sharing about two major theories from developmental psychology. These two theories I'll be discussing are Jean-Pierre's cognitive development theory and Erik Erikson's psychological stages of development. Why did I choose these theories? I choose these theories because they really help me make sense of how I've grown as a person. Jean-Pierre's cognitive development theory gave me insight on how people grow up and learn about the world, and Erikson's theory described the growth of a human throughout their lifetime, even in the senior age, which most theories do not cover. Theory 1. Piaget's cognitive development theory. Jean-Pierre believed that children go through 4 unique stages of thinking and learning before they reach full human intelligence. The first stage is essentially motor stage. Starting at birth, it talks about how the child begins to start figuring out the world through their 5 senses, being able to gain object permanence. And then the second stage, pre-operational stage, starting at age 2, talks about how the child begins to think symbolically and ask questions about the world. I can observe these developments from my sister, who just turned 3. When she was 1 and 2, she was moving around trying to make sense of the world. Now that she has turned 3, she has begun to ask questions about the world and use words to speak for anything she wants. I can clearly observe the first 2 stages of development that Piaget described and have a greater understanding of my sister's cognitive development and help me raise her more. The third stage of development that Piaget described, the concrete operational stage of development, starts at 7 and talks about how the child will think more logically, try to understand the ideas of conservation, and try to understand others' feelings. And the fourth stage of development, the formal operational stage, starts at 12, and the teen now would try to think about abstract concepts and find gray areas in arguments. When I turned 10, I could think, but I could only understand the concept of right and wrong. However, when I turned around the teenage age, I began to think more about the world. I began to understand the topic of laws, world events, and histories and beliefs, and view them more critically and try to understand both sides. This is probably the time when I shifted from the stage of concrete operational thinking to formal operational thinking. Theory 2. Erikson's psychophysical stage of development. Erikson's stages of development divides a person's psychological development into 8 stages. At each stage, a person will experience a turning point of their life that will decide the outcome of their identity and role in life. The first 4 stages talks about how a child will begin to form a sense of self, gaining confidence and motivation in life, or growing ideas of self-doubt, mistrust, and fear, depending on how well the caregivers, parents, and surroundings encourage or discourage their actions. The first 4 stages tell me how important it is to reinforce a child's growth when they're young. When I was small, my parents often are out for work for the entire day and barely able to be with me. Without reinforcement of my achievements and myself, I currently have issues of self-doubt and lack of confidence. Like learning about this, I grew a better understanding of myself and know what to do to help people younger than me to develop well. The last 4 stages describe how a person's identity will become in the future. A person needs to form meaningful relationships to be happy and have a good sense of identity. If they feel lost or have no support, they'll be lonely and feel sense of regret in life, becoming pessimistic and having a bad outlook in life while having a loss of direction. Learning this, I don't know what to look at in the future. I know not to make these mistakes, and that will be bad for my life in the future, and strive for gaining meaningful relationships and finding meaning in life. There are some major flaws to these theories though, as Piaget's theories of cognitive development overestimates the abilities of children and neglect cultural and social influences towards the child, and Erikson's theory does not provide how a person moves from stage to stage and is too general to resolve each stage. However, these theories provide a framework on how a person might grow psychologically and provide a general dynamic on how a person might develop a good sense of self, all in all. These theories change the way I see people's developments and changes. I no longer believe that they're random and bad, it's just a process of growth. I have gained a great understanding of my friends and my growth as a person. I know to understand others' struggles and know how to guide them and support them. In the future, whether it is my personal relationships or a future career, I will remember to use my knowledge to help myself and others to make decisions that will benefit me in the long run. I will look out for the stages that Erikson has described and strive to get the best outcome from it. In conclusion, Piaget describes how a person's intelligence is formed by their early childhood, and Erikson describes how a person's identity and sense of self is formed by turning points at different stages of life. As Erikson states, life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. We need each other, and the sooner we learn that, the better for us all. So go out and make meaningful relationships with others, and always keep an optimistic outlook in life. My name is Zipei, and thank you for your time.